Hey everybody, Gerry Brown here on the Groove Don't Lie podcast. On today's show, we have the esteemed Miss Gina Kronstadt, violinist, vocalist, session musician, singer, songwriter, arranger, and producer. That's a lot of things, but she's been doing this for 47 years. And whom has she contributed to? High-profile recordings by artists, including Michael Jackson, Beyoncé, Eric Clapton, Dr. Dre, Aretha Franklin, Stevie Wonder, Billy Joel, George Harrison, Elton John, Rihanna, Barbra Streisand, Taylor Swift. Live TV performances encompasses the Academy Awards, the Grammys, the '84 Olympic ceremonies, MTV Movie Awards, American Music Awards, America's Got Talent, The Tonight Show, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame Awards, American Idol, The Voice, The Ellen Show, live performances with Beyoncé, Blake Shelton, Cher, Donna Summer, Freddie Hubbard, James Brown, John Legend, Jennifer Hudson, Lenny Kravitz, Stevie Wonder, Sting, Whitney Houston, and I remember something with Diana Ross. How about that? What an intro. So, without further ado, Miss Gina Kronstadt on Groove Don't Lie.
Hi.
Hi.
Long time no see.
Long time. How are you?
I'm good.
When we spoke briefly this morning, I was so very happy to hear that your recent event went so well and that you said it was SRO, or basically close to SRO, standing room only.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It actually was. People were walking and going, where are we supposed to sit? I was like, I don't know. But no, it ended up being really nice to have a bunch of people there I didn't know, and a bunch of my friends came out as well. So that's always amazing. On a Saturday night.
On a Saturday night in Los Angeles.
Yeah, there's so many options.
So many options. Yeah, so that's wonderful.
Yeah.
And that you said that you thought that, there had been some issues with your voice and you had done only maybe 30 minutes, but you actually got 2 hours.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm totally surprised and grateful. Well, not totally surprised, but I wasn't totally sure that was going to happen a few minutes before the gig happened. And as soon as I stood up to the mic and the band starts playing, it's like that whole thing when you're on stage, a whole thing takes over, and adrenaline, I guess, or something, but it was all good.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. So just a little intro, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
And I hope you don't blush. So today on the Groove Don't Lie podcast, we're joined by Miss Gina Kronstadt, violinist, vocalist, composer, arranger, musician whose work has quietly traveled through some of the biggest rooms in modern music. If you've heard a lush string line on a major recording or seen a polished live performance on a giant stage, Gina has likely been part of that world. So you started when at 10 years old?
Yes. I had told my parents that I wanted to play violin or flute. And then I think this is on my bio that my mother walked in late that night with a violin case. And I literally remember being disappointed because I realized I really wanted to play the flute. Which I mean, I really don't see me doing this, but that moment changed my life. And I started playing, in orchestras by the sixth grade. And um, I think by the time I was 3 or 4, I just knew that music was something that brought me so much joy and happiness and peace and comfort. And still to this day, it is that important to me. It's everything.
That's at the, that was the foundation.
Yeah, that kind of the mistake, a beautiful mistake or something with the violin coming into the house instead of the little flute case. It changed my world. It changed the direction of my life for sure.
So in grade school, when you're playing violin and this incredible mistake, what did, or what at that time, was there anything that came across to you feeling of this experience of leadership or, music responsibility?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know if at that time I could feel that feeling, but I knew that I somehow fit into that role comfortably. It wasn't anything I thought about, but I feel like from that time, for decades, I've always felt like it's kind of something I've been destined to do. And there was kind of a knowing that I was going to be on this journey. It wasn't like, oh, this is what I want to do with my life. It was just that was already part of it I feel like before it even happened. I feel like it was mapped out in a way for me. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
I know you do.
Uh, uh, yeah, I have that story of starting younger and
How old were you?
maybe about 5.
Ooh. And okay, if I can ask you, what made you want to play?
What made me want to play was, okay, so this is even beyond 5 years old. I found out from my mom. My mom and dad loved to dance. So they often went before I came about. They often went to the Savoy.
Nice.
So my mother was pregnant with me. So I was an embryo. So I was hearing it from the inside.
Yeah. Feeling that beat.
So when I started banging on, you know, pots and pans and tables and stuff like that, they didn't think, oh, no, 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 no. They were very, very supportive. So it's, again, I know other people whose parents may not have been as supportive, but mine were.
Yeah.
So it took me to a place in West Philadelphia, and there was a drum teacher there, and I started. He, he was playing some rudiments, and I started following him, and he later told me, says, I'm on the road, but however, my daughter teaches at Curtis Music Institute.
Yeah.
So I actually had a woman as my first teacher.
That's why you're so sensitive.
Yeah.
Maybe
Uh,
have something to do with it.
oh, not maybe, certainly.
All right.
certainly. But back to you.
Okay.
So you're playing in the orchestra and you're like concert master. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, from sixth grade, I was concert master. Like literally the first year I started playing, I was concert master, and I don't even know how that happened, but I was. And I always was all through junior high, high school, and then going into college, I was always concert master. So not that it's, I mean, maybe I was just going to say maybe that it hasn't been easy, but it weirdly has because I didn't, there was just a natural, it was just a natural progression or something. Like a
Obviously,
leadership thing where I don't know where I got that from. I literally have no idea where I got that from.
but you followed it. You followed through.
There was no way I couldn't follow through.
So when did you move, or how did Los Angeles
Yeah, this is
come
an
into
interesting.
the?
Yeah. So when I was in college, um, it wasn't known, it wasn't like North Texas State or Berkeley or whatever, but during this particular era, we were kind of up there because of like Bill Fowler, you know who Dr. Bill
Yes,
Fowler was. Okay.
yes.
So this was at the University of Utah. This was when I was 19. I took my first theory class in college from Bill Fowler.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So that happened. And then at the same time, I don't know if you know who Ladd McIntosh is.
Name sounds very
Yeah, I mean
familiar. Yes.
he's major. He was my professor in college. So at 19 years old, I was concertmaster with the orchestra, but I also joined the big band in college, playing amplified violin with a cello player. So we were playing with an amazing band where some of the greatest musicians from all over the country came to Utah to play in this, excuse me, in this band and be part of this program. And we had visiting faculty members. We were only at University of Utah 1 year, and then we transferred to Westminster College. Um, but we had visiting faculty members like Frank Zappa. I had a, yeah, I mean, I had composition classes from Frank Zappa, Joni Mitchell and LA Express. It's where I first hung out with Tom Scott when I'm like, that was like 19 or 20. And, Robin Ford and, all those guys. And Clark Terry, Jean-Luc Ponty. So I played with Jean-Luc Ponty when I was in college. He came as a visiting faculty member. Um, it was really amazing time. And also Pat Williams, who was a major TV and film composer.
Yes.
He was there and he inspired me to come to LA. And he had this record named Threshold come out where this violinist named Gerry was playing all this amazing violin work on a very jazz kind of big band record. And I knew that I was going to somehow work with Gerry Vinci. And this is in college, so this is a couple of years before that actually happened. But the day after I graduated from college, I moved to LA with my then flugelhorn playing boyfriend, Jazzer. And so I think my first or second year in LA, and I had a band together my very first year in LA. But let me get back to this trumpet player boyfriend I had introduced me to Gary Foster, one of the top, reed men in
Yeah.
LA at the time. And I took improvisation from Gary Foster. And Gary had me sight read a Bill Evans transcribed solo, Waltz for Debbie.
Oh,
And he was impressed by how I sight read it. And so he said to me, this is going back to Gerry Vinci, who played on this Pat Williams record. He said, I'm working with this concertmaster named Gerry Vinci tomorrow, and I want to tell him about you. So that's Gerry Vinci, Pat Williams were reasons why I moved to LA. And here I am being told that Gary Foster was going to tell Gerry Vinci about me. It was crazy. And so Gerry came, and this is weird, but it happened. Gerry came over to my apartment in Pasadena to listen to me play on his way back from whatever studio it was. So I played a little bit for him and he said, yeah, he said, number one, I would just like to work with you for a little while. But yeah, I think I think you should be in the studios. So that happened. And it was Gerry Vinci who got me on my first major motion picture call with Lalo Schifrin. So I was sitting, my very first motion picture was Lalo Schifrin. I'm sitting, we were at Universal. That studio doesn't exist anymore, the scoring stage. But there I was, like at 22, 23 or something, with the heavies, my first motion picture, Lalo Schifrin. It was crazy. So it's just been this thread of from person to person to person, and these doors
Some
opening.
serendipity, synchronicity.
Yeah.
I'll say it. The ancestors had you
had my back.
No, lead her this way.
Yeah.
Oh.
And when doors open up, you better walk through.
You better walk through.
You better walk through. And that's a thing that I've always done, is just walk through it. Without any kind of a net to catch me or anything. I'll just walk through it and we'll see what happens. Right?
Yes, it's I mean, you're saying the same things that in some ways that happened to me, and those doors opened, and you better walk through.
Yeah, because they're meant to open for a reason. I have to tell you something. I have to show you something that you played on a recording that changed my life.
Uh-oh.
And it's this one.
Oh, that one, music magic. Oh,
yeah. This is one of the life changers for me. Wow. So
I'm honored.
But it's awesome. I mean, it's so, it was so unique and creative, and everything about it to me is like it catches your ears, because it's, and still to this day, I think is just extraordinary. I actually listened to it a couple of weeks ago. And I don't think I realized you were, and I'm looking at the credits because that's why I love vinyl, is because you get to read absolutely everything and turn it into an experience. I was going, oh man, Gerry Brown is on this thing. And you sound awesome. And the whole band is amazing. And Stanley and Gail singing together. It's just good times, right?
Great times.
Yeah.
Great times. Kind of unfortunate that those times have, in some ways, kind of.
Yeah.
Anyway, but
changed my life. This definitely changed my musical ears. It opened up my ears, almost like to hear what's possible. So thank you.
Now you got me blushing.
Okay, good.
You got me blushing.
Good.
So
you deserve to blush.
Thank you. That's I got no words for that. I'm stunned. I'm stunned. So first session, Lalo Schifrin.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's leading. So after
I had already started doing some records prior to that. And should I tell you a little bit about all
As
that,
you like, as
because
you like.
that's kind of major. But I think the first year I was in LA, I was in a community orchestra. And I was also a head hostess at a Mexican restaurant when I'm like 21 or whatever. Um, and in the community orchestra, I was sitting with this violinist named Ron Clark, who was, I guess, a couple of years older than me, maybe. And he was already in the studios a little bit, working with Janice Gower and violinist Bill Henderson, who they were the main string contractors for all the disco stuff, all the R&B stuff. And from me sitting with Ron and Ron liking the way I played, he told them about me. And then that door opened. And then boom, like everything just opened up for me during that time, during that era. It was it was the best. So that's how I got to play on all that stuff. And also Jerry Venci was concertmaster on like Off the Wall that I played on. And so it's like the whole, like the history with Jerry Venci moves on, but then most of the sessions I was doing at that time were either Bill Henderson or Janice Gower contracting and being concertmaster.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, so gotta ask a question, and that is, when you're walking in those rooms for these artists, or that for whom the session is there anything that you notice or something that with the musicians there, or what, or even if the artist is there, is there something that may catch your eye, or that you may be okay, you're aware that you're going to walk into this room, something I may need to notice?
Okay. I'm going to back up just a sec. Good question, but I'm going to back up to something that has to do with how everything led to another thing, because
Okay.
we're into that.
Yeah.
So, because I did a lot of work with Earth, Wind, and Fire, I played on three of Earth, Wind, and Fire records. But let me tell you what happened prior to that. So, this is back in Salt Lake, and I had driven home from college that day, and I had a radio station on in the car. I had driven into the garage, and there was a song on the radio. I didn't know who it was, but literally in my head, it was like, I'm going to play with this band. I didn't know who it was until after the song. It was like Earth, Wind, and Fire. It was, let me think, maybe 4 years later. I'd moved to LA after that. 4 years later, 3 or 4 years later, I played on my first Earth, Wind, and Fire record and proceeded to I played on the best of that September's on. And then I played on I Am and Faces. But it was just like, it was one of those things where I knew I'm in Salt Lake, sitting in a car, and it was like, I'm going to be playing with them. So back to your question. Again, for me, it wasn't ever a thing at the time. I was just going to work. You know what I mean? I was like walking to the studio, what the artists are there, the greatest producers are there, everything. I have my place to sit, the music's in front of me. And I never overthought anything. I was there to do a job. And I also know that the whole time I was so lucky and grateful to be in the studios, especially when I was younger. I realized that they didn't put an extra chair there for me. I realized that somebody else used to be there and that person wasn't called, and that I was replacing someone. And I think I was aware of that by the time I was 23 or so. And so I I feel like noticing that you become more grateful instead of taking it so for granted. It's like, well, I mean, I knew that I deserved to be there, but I didn't want to kick anybody out.
Right.
You know what I mean? It was just like, so I think I always remained grateful for being there and I don't think I've ever taken a session for granted or a show or anything. You dig?
Whoever will listen to this, those words
Oh.
are priceless.
Well, it's funny because looking back at everything now, I see everything more clearly. I mean, there are things that I realized in the moment being very young and I didn't know any other life. It was just like that was my life. So I was just there doing it. And I was always aware of certain things, how like grateful and how lucky I was. But looking back on all of it, it just sort of magnifies the whole scene for decades and decades of being able to be in this industry for so long. And, even towards the end of my career, because I had to quit because of shoulder stuff. But so I haven't been playing for 3 years. But um, towards the end of my career, on reality TV shows, because I did like, The Voice and American Idol and all that stuff. And do you know who Ernie Fields was?
Yes, yes, I
Okay.
do. God,
The late
rest in
great,
peace. Yes.
the cool man, the coolest of cool men. And he sent me an email one night that showed that he'd gotten from the producers on Idol, because there was a quartet that was going to be playing for, oh man, I don't know if I can remember the band. They were going to premiere a single that night on Idol. But the email said, we want attractive 30 somethings, and I wasn't a 30 something. I was, probably in my, I don't know. I was 20 years older than they're talking about. But Ernie showed me that, just emailed me and he said, but I want you on this. So I was very lucky to do a ton of TV work, um, past most people's expiration date, you know. Um, so just I'm grateful for it all. I'm just so I'm kind of in awe of everything looking back on that part of my journey, you know. But it's all been so beautiful and amazing and everything.
You know, what you've just said is for me one of the reasons why I'm doing this podcast. It's like I'm not making any money out of it, but there are other things that are really priceless in that speaking to peers and those who've been in this arena and realizing that longevity is you know that's everything in this business. If you've been in there for a while, the fact that you've seen, you've been there, you've been in that arena, it doesn't happen very often,
Especially for women.
especially for women,
Yeah.
especially for women.
So that's another reason why my heart just is because um, I know a lot of women who are being, they aren't being called, when they have a good couple more decades to be playing. And I think when, especially American Idol started, I think how they contract the people on camera started changing. And it was always about make sure they're young, make sure they're pretty, make sure, but it didn't matter about the men. They could be all whatever. but it was the women that had to be representing in the looks department and also be able to play their butts off. Um, and I really noticed that the switch over, so that's probably like early 2000s that I noticed this kind of switch. And then I started seeing it in the studios as well. Even when there wasn't a camera on us, it started
It
mattering.
accelerated.
Yeah, yeah. So, but luckily, most of these pretty women can play. I think I would have an issue with it if if they couldn't play at a certain level. But the ones that I'm thinking of, they're great. So that's all good.
They are deserved to be there.
Yeah.
They've done the work,
Yeah. Yep.
that's great. When you see those who haven't done the work,
Yeah. It's all really hard work. And I think there are so many different levels of having a career with longevity. It's like it's also being personable. It's showing up on time. It's being ready to go. It's, saying hello to people. It's, it's everything. It's being able to play. It's being able to do everything. And it's not just being able to play. It's everything. Am I right?
you are so right in saying that. I've spoken to, well, I don't speak to many drummers because I think the younger drummers, they don't want to hear
Oh, maybe they
from
do.
I don't know. I don't know if they're
Speaking of somebody
bashful.
that has longevity, I mean, they should be listening to you.
Well, it's more than just, your chops. It's how you get along with people. You have to be a people person. I mean, we are in the communications business, whether performing or just working with other people.
Yeah.
And yeah, you have to be a people person,
It's a team sport.
team sport.
And that's especially, I think, um, there's a real difference for me between being in the violin section and then being out front as the singer songwriter of my own music and performing in clubs and stuff. Being in the studios as one of many or one of a few, you better be a team player, because if your phrasing is off, if your vibrato is too fast or too wobbly, or just, or you're playing too loud, if you're not aware of what's going on in the rest of the group or orchestra, whatever the size is, I mean, I think that's the job. That is such, maybe the number one job when you're in the studios, is to be a team player and use your ears and blend and be part of a group, not to stick
Agreed.
out and show off.
No, it's not about about
Yeah.
showing off. No, no, it's not about that. No.
But
So,
leading my own band, I can do all that.
so leading your own band, it's okay. So, I just want to, just to bring it up. People need to know that was it an accident, or was it just from wear and tear?
I think it was just from doing this so much for so many years, and my bicep tendon detached from my shoulder, and it should have been able to be fixed, but the surgeon attached my tendon too high, and it caused nerve damage down my arm and through my elbow, down into my wrist, and into these two fingers. And um, another surgeon wanted to do, oh, I did have a second surgery, which was only him pulling like I was under, but he was pulling my arm as hard as he could to try to bring it down. And of course, that didn't work. And doctors wanted to redo the surgery. and I refused. So the reason it's an issue for these two fingers, because what happened was there were two sessions in a row, and this is like maybe the first part of 2023, something like that. But two sessions in a row, there was a lot of spiccato, which is the bow bouncing off of the string and going, it was like on all four strings. It was this kind of a thing. And you need the balance of all four fingers and your thumb to be able to do that. And I didn't have this going. So needless to say, I didn't nail it. And both of those sections were very small. Oh, I'm feeling it, just thinking back on it. But, we never saw in the studios, you see it more in classical music, a spiccato, but I could have maybe gone another several years before seeing spiccato again in the studios. I didn't know, but I also knew I didn't want to be the person like who stays at the party too long, because the feeling I had those two sessions, it was like, that's not who I am, to not be able to do that. And so the only job I did after those two sessions that I feel like I kind of made a fool of myself, although people were going, oh, it was just a hard session. It was like, no, but I know they were just being kind. But the only thing I did after that was the Oscars of 2023 I played. And after that was when I decided to just wrap it up, because I didn't want to have to go through that again for myself or for the music as well. I think about the music too.
We thank Gina Kronstadt for this first episode, but she's got so much more to say because that career, incredible. So stay tuned, everybody, for episode number 2 from Gina Kronstadt on Groove Don't Lie.